Hold on.
All right, give me 1 second, Austin. What I do now, Austin, just to fill you in, as I now go. We're live technically, but I don't care. I will look at it later.
Oh, we're going right now?
We're going right now.
Okay, so don't say all that terrible stuff.
Yeah, because we are live.
Okay.
Go back here.
God, I have so much terrible things to say
Yep.
about
Where?
Josh and Chad.
Are they watching?
No.
Yeah.
Wait, can people see this?
Yeah. Anyone on that follows the Heligrip account can definitely see it. But thank you.
Don't.
All right.
Don't pick your nose.
Episode 10, talking stuff with McMasher. We have a special guest today. It's still a McMasher, but a different one. Today's special guest is Austin McMasher, and we are going to be discussing the Summit Broadway, the grips. We're going to be discussing the grips. We're going to be discussing the grips we have made.
Which grips?
Well, mainly the summits. We're
Okay.
gonna focus mainly on the summits today. So, first off, let's get a little backstory on Austin. This is weird. I'm going to go out right. I just keep wanting to turn and look. Austin's literally right over there, right? So I really want to turn and look at Austin, but I'm going to stay focused here and look this direction.
I'm trying really hard not to look at you right now and just focus on the video, but I think we'll be fine.
Yeah. And I mean, I'll tell you right now, the chat's going nuts.
Oh my God, I can't even see the chat.
Yeah. Well, so far, Jer's here, and he said Austin's got a little scuff going on. Oh, scruff going on. I thought he meant scuff as in like maybe the volume. All right, well, that's fine.
Well, I kept it clean for his wedding, but then I have to let it grow back out. Normally, I got a beard.
There you go, Jer. Yeah, so Austin, why don't you give us a little backstory? I mean, clearly you're Addy's twin brother. I feel that blank in already. But,
Yeah. Addison and I were born at about the same time from the same mother. So, yeah, that's about right. And my name's Austin. His name is Addison. So, yeah, pretty much covers that.
All right. That was a great coverage right there. I meant mainly also in extreme sports. Clearly, you don't ride a scooter, right?
No. Right. So I nowadays I ride a number of different bikes. But growing up, when our friendship circle was like, forking in like 10 directions, like some people chose skateboarding, like yourself, Tubi, or Addison chose scootering. I was kind of the rare odd man out, and I went down the path of BMX. For the last 20 years now, I've ridden primarily BMX. I also, ride gravel bikes, mountain bike, do other stuff besides biking. But when it comes to the extreme sports world, I'm definitely in the BMX section.
Just real quick to do a little recap. We all rode BMX at one point.
We all scootered, we all skated.
Well, yeah,
okay.
Yeah. But I mean, like, Addy definitely was hitting dirt jumps and stuff. He had the Hoffman, and I had my Diamondback, which is over yonder here in the warehouse.
Your Rust Bucket Diamondback is just over here. Addison had a Hoffman Dirt Merchant that he bought from Drew's BMX. And backstory, I think when he bought that bike, I couldn't even ride bikes yet. Like, I didn't even know how until I was like 13.
Hold on 1 second. Didn't Addy get a mountain bike and you couldn't ride it that time?
Well, my older brother had a mountain bike and I couldn't ride that. Addison, actually, I think we probably got BMX. He got a BMX bike before me. And if he didn't choose scootering and stay with BMX, I guarantee he would have been better than me BMX. Even when we were younger, he had a slight edge on me in BMX. Thank God he chose scootering. Otherwise, I wouldn't have shined as much.
Yeah, we used to go to the dirt jumps.
Yep.
Up by your guys' house.
Yep. Lime Ridge.
Well, all right. Well, there you go. Austin just said where do they live.
Yep. No, the jumps were called Lime Ridge.
Okay, well, yeah. Well,
Now you
true.
just snitched.
Yeah, now I just snitched, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we used to go there a lot.
Yeah.
I never hit a single jump, especially on my bike, which was made for flat landing. I bought it purely out of looks, and that was a fatal mistake. But yeah, we rode bikes, period, everywhere. Every summer, we'd ride around. It was a big thing for us. I had a skateboard, but that's not really transportational, super useful.
Yeah, I mean, we early on before we got into like scootering and skateboarding, like you were crazy into wrestling, WWE. But really crazy. There's a whole life before this that was Johnny and wrestling. But what we used
I
bikes
still watch.
Yeah. What we used bikes to do was like honestly go and like buy soda and cookies when our parents would fall asleep, and then get toilet paper and eggs so we can just like vandalize neighborhoods in mass. Should I not talk about that?
I mean,
Anywho,
there's no hard evidence of it, so yeah, I guess, and I think we're past those.
there's definitely some video evidence. That's besides the point.
Well,
But yeah, I mean, bikes were just a means to get around. Like I think even before we started like riding hardcore, like we would go to Bart and get on Bart. We ride our bikes from Johnny's house to Walnut Creek Bart or Concord Bart, and then go to San Francisco, like Chinatown and the Wharf, and just hijinks like savages. Eventually got more refined. Tubi, skateboarding, Addison, scootering, and then myself, BMX. We all kind of hung in the same circles, but eventually even then, like we forked off, and I started riding more with BMX guys strictly. No offense.
when Addy was stuck with us on our skateboards.
You guys wouldn't have me. You guys were too cool for me.
No, it's the other way around.
I marked up your ledges.
Austin cool guyed us and started hanging out with
I didn't
these other
cool guy
biker dudes.
anybody. I wasn't allowed everywhere they went.
They
and
did
then
destroy the ledges at the Valley Road.
We never destroyed the ledges. Go
Oh,
on.
bro, Scotland. I'll call him out by name. Scotland destroyed the ledges at Valley
It's
Road.
only because he lived about 5 feet away. But go
I
on.
lived even closer. Well, now I just outed myself. So there you go. Point being, yes. All right. So BMX background. You, if I'm not mistaken, you even placed at a BMX contest.
Yeah, I mean, the only contest I ever entered, which you could even call a contest, it was a jam, was a 2-hip contest when I was in college, and I placed 3rd in the amateur division. I remember actually bringing the homie who got 2nd, shout out to Tony. I remember thinking like, damn it, if I didn't bring him, I would have gotten 2nd. And I mean that in the best way, but I was like, damn. But yeah, that means nothing. I never rode for a company or was sponsored. I just traveled and had a good time.
You got a little shop discount, no?
No.
I thought you had a little jug at Clayton Valley Bikes.
No. Never. No shop discounts. Just shop love. I mean, once you get to know a shop, that's when it's good. No shop discounts. Nothing like that. I I pay for all the parts, full price.
Yeah. All right. Well, what about? All right. Weird questions, but what about your what am I trying to look here? How were you able to develop? Austin clearly developed not only the Broadways as well as the Summits are Austin's babies, right?
I wouldn't call them babies, but yeah.
You know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
What's your background with design? I guess would be the kind of the question.
Well, I guess even before getting to design, like I just mentioned that I rode BMX, but I should even go deeper and say that like I am obsessed with BMX, but also parts like frames, stems, handlebars, grips. As much as I love the aspect of riding, oh God, I could just thumb through like a Dan's Comp magazine for hours. So I always liked bikes. Like just it's crazy how much I focused on parts. I mean, I guess the only comparison would be like others' attractions to cars or guitars, right? Like I just always was really, really, really
pro wrestling,
the dolls and everything. I was just really into bikes. I still am that way. I still think about parts design. But what I went to school for was architecture. Maybe in hindsight, I probably should have done industrial design. But actually, when I got to high school, I started taking architecture courses at the local junior college, and eventually transferred to UC Berkeley, where I got a Bachelor of Arts in architecture. Um, and really, what that introduced me to was technical drawing, but also, technical drawing and how to produce drawings and how to think and, not just develop blueprints for buildings, but also, components. It didn't teach me a tremendous amount of fundamentals like mechanical engineering or specific elements of physics, but it did give me a good background into the design process. Um, Tubi? T- Tubi?
Yeah, we're good. You knew who that was.
Yes, you knew this was going to happen.
Here, hold on. Hold on, 1 second.
Are you going to take the call on? Okay.
I'm going. No, it was popping up on the computer screen.
Why don't you just take him? We can put him on speaker and admonish him.
That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm gonna have to warn him immediately.
It's McMasher. Twin.
Hey. We're live. We're live. Hold on. I wanted you to check audio levels before we officially went. I was gonna run it through Discord, but then you were eating dinner, which I told Austin you're probably doing. So now we're live. So if you want to hop in the chat, you feel free to hop in. I had Jerry check the audio levels for me.
Jerry.
Jesus, you guys would go live. We're about to go out on our evening walk.
Well, the chat's hearing you.
No, I mean he didn't ignore 2 phone calls that we made and all these text messages, and then I even told him what we're doing, and then he's got to go on evening walks.
Yeah. Well.
Jeez. Well, I'll have to get my AirPods in or something.
That's fine, bro. You can watch it later. I'm pretty sure our audio levels are great. There's some people in the chat. No one's complained so far, so we must be doing good. Yeah.
All right. Do you need any design references for me to explain?
No, we don't know. No. Based on what Tubi told me in our pre-meeting, I don't think we want you to talk.
Austin naysayed me on saying a lot, so we're gonna let him.
I had a lot of input on this.
On which one?
On all of it. The summits, especially. It was my idea.
Nice, dude. Nice.
Yeah, everything. Everything from the depth to the
Durometer.
to little triangles.
Yep.
I did nothing. That's the truth.
Okay. All right.
Well,
we'll talk to you later, buddy. You check this out later and tell us what you think.
I had input on color names.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah. The pink color, the Hellrosa.
I put in my 2 cents on certain color shades that I liked more.
All right. Well, we're still.
Be sure to mention that. I want people to know that.
Yeah, we're doing a little backstory on Austin before we get super into the grips. He was just giving us a breakdown. We already
You
went
ruined
through
my backstory.
Yeah,
my origin story's been ruined.
Yeah, we're doing an Austin origin story, and then we're only 13 minutes in, so you know, yeah.
All right.
You're my kryptonite.
Dude, real quick though, even though I know we are live, the setup I got is so bad right now. There's cables everywhere. Austin was so bummed because like Austin's facing my back. It's so bad, Ad. It's hilarious. It's great. We're live.
You thought we were legit by now, and you realized we're anything but.
If you can follow my eyes, I'm looking at Johnny's back right now.
This is our second episode where we're at the Hella Grip warehouse, so I don't know what people were expecting. I haven't figured it out super good where we can do it at the warehouse and not in our offices.
Yeah, we got better production values in our personal offices.
No, I brought the mics. Austin's using my new mic setup. I attached it to the table. Yeah, and I got the Hella Grip Panasonic, like the legit Hella Grip camera is facing Austin. It's a little dark looking, but it's all right.
Hey, brought out all the stops for the origin story.
Yep. All right, buddy. We'll tell Jamie we say hello, and I'll talk to you later.
You don't say that to her.
All right, sounds good, buddy.
All right, buddy. Peace.
All right, dude. Like.
He would immediately start cursing when he picks up the phone. All right, back to it, Austin. You were talking about
How rude.
Yeah.
Some people in this world can be.
Well, you know. He's your blood.
He is. Anywho, where were we?
College design. You
Yeah, so I studied architecture in school.
Yep.
And then immediately from school I started practicing architecture. I've been practicing still for the last 11 years. I became licensed about 3 years, so I am a licensed architect. And in my spare time, among one of my other interests is product design, and so one of them, which we're here to talk about today, is the development of grips. Something that coming from a BMX background, I've probably ridden close to like 60 pairs of grips over the last 20 years. And I feel I have a pretty good grasp on and then how we got here. So where should we take it when it comes to all this?
Let me ask a question right there, because you
Yeah.
said you've ridden roughly about 60 grips.
Oh yeah.
I have multiple questions about
Yeah.
that. My first one being, out of those 60, how many of them were made purely for BMX by BMX brands?
I would say most of them were made by BMX brands. You'll have to remember, prior to scootering coming on the scene, they were really only made for BMX, because the other grips that were made were for either like drop bar road bikes, and those aren't even grips, it's just bar tape, or like for mountain bike, it was, those lock-on grips with like the little Allen keys. So pretty much all the grips I've ever ridden were from BMX based companies, whether it be Primo, S&M, Fit, ODI, Snafu. They were all from the BMX world.
And have you ridden the other type of Addy commented already.
What?
He said insightful AF, classic Addy comment. It's also interesting that this is the first episode of talking stuff with McMasher, and Addy's now commenting in the live feed. It's just kind of this weird eeriness.
You're gonna have to tell me what he says, because
I will,
I
if he
can't
says
read it from
anything
over here. I'm gonna come over this table if it's offensive.
Yeah.
I won't
I'll read you all the comments.
Okay, I can't handle like mean and offensive comments. So
we had another one that said
seriously.
hell of insightful from I can't read. I guess his name's Chad.
Chad, that's very kind.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chad.
Another gentleman said Heligrip X Outset. Outset's not, to my understanding, Outset's not in business anymore. And then Jerry, when he commented about your scuff, and then another dude just commented yo.
He yelled.
Yo back, huh?
Wow.
So my other comment was gonna be, right, I consider that like the wrap on, which you called for road bikers, that
Bar
to
wrap.
me
Yeah, bar
always feels like it's like tennis. That's big in tennis. It's also big in golf. They use a lot of that. So I always consider it like tennis grip or golf grip.
Yeah.
But my question was going to be, what do you enjoy more? Was it more? Were you leaning always on the BMX side? Like you said, I know this because me and you used to ride a lot of mountain bikes. Well, I'd ride your mountain bike
I
around
still ride
Oakland.
mountain bikes. Yeah.
No, I meant around Oakland. You'd let me borrow, because Austin has like an arsenal of bikes. It's crazy how many bikes this guy
I have
owns.
a lot of bikes. Yeah.
We'll get into that in a moment.
Yeah.
But I would always borrow one of Austin's bikes, and we go on these crazy bike rides that I was not prepared for, right, around Oakland.
And here.
What? Yeah, around here lately, yeah. But now I have my own bike.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Fairdale, Neckface. What up? Do you ride BMX grips on your other bikes, or and if I don't know, that's kind of where I was going.
Well,
with
actually, on my mountain bike, I've been trying a number of different grips. Right now, I do actually have BMX orientated grips on there, which to some people is blasphemy. Like, they think they need to be lock on or whatever, which is those little Allen key that holds on, slides it off. Right now, I am running a pair of shorter ODIs on my hardtail, and I like it. I mean, I really like the feel to those, because the slide on grips, they're a little bit more firm in texture, and sometimes if you're white knuckling something, say it's a drop or a manual or even up a hill, you can like turn it with just the rubber on bar, that direct connection, not like the plastic collar on a mountain bike grip. I really like it. So right now I am on my mountain bike running BMX centric grips.
And one of your bikes, of course, has summits on it, right? You're rocking summits on one of those.
Oh
bikes.
yeah, my BMX bike, of course.
Okay.
Like, of course, like it has to be that way.
Real quick.
Yeah.
I think they're on the table. Ruben Rodriguez, a good homie of ours as well, one of the OG AO homies. asked about the green Summit grips, and will we ever do another pair of those, or
Oh,
was that a one-off?
Hold on, let me put these guys down.
Um,
These green guys right here.
Now, we did, and I don't know if Austin knows this, we did send a pair of those to the Vault for the 420 custom build, which was also the first episode of Talking Stuff with McMasher. We did a review on that actual video. I don't know if we will, in fact, ever run that colorway again. I'm a big fan. You know, overshow colors were green and black. That's kind of why we ended up making those. I'd love to do them, but we'll see. You know, we got a lot of black grips to go through before we get to doing another pair of different colors. Because, I mean, also black seems to be, and we could get into this in a minute, Austin, about colors and stuff. But just to answer that question to Ruben, yeah, I mean, hopefully, would love to make more of those. I love the colorway. It's an awesome colorway.
Yeah, so with the green, we produced the green when we were testing different colors that we wanted for production. You know, speaking of the Summit grip, what went into production was the black, clear, and pink, which is Hell Rosa on the pan scale, on the Pantone scale. The green and then this blue one were grips that we asked to have sent to us by the manufacturer, just so, you know, we can see what those finishes looked like.
I think it was while we were picking out what colors we were going to run.
Exactly. Yeah. So we ordered about 10 of each of these colors, so 50 grips in all.
Yeah.
Black for certain was going to run.
Yeah, 100% on black.
Clear, Hell Rosa.
We were pretty sure on clear. We were like, oh,
Yeah.
clear would be really cool.
Yeah, definitely.
I was really big on the clear idea.
Yeah.
I think I know we all were. We all really liked the clear idea.
Mm-hmm.
And then we kind of wanted to play with either green, blue, or pink. Yeah, and like we got a bunch of pairs. The team all tested them out. If I'm not mistaken, too, to another little thing for Ruben, the other person that had him is, I'm pretty sure if you go back, there's footage of JD riding the green Summit grips when they were just in the testing time period. We had sent a pair of green ones out to JD, so he has footage. I'm almost 100%. There's some clips of him rocking the green Summits. But let's go back further. We're jumping ahead.
Yeah, my roommate Josh also was running a pair for a while.
Of green?
Yeah, and then I think
Really?
Yeah, he's got a pair of the green still. Yeah, and they're worn in too. So I told him
Really?
he didn't throw them away. No, he still has them.
Oh, if he doesn't want them, I'll take them back.
Yeah, I mean, and then as an aside, we didn't go with the blue because we produced a blue Broadway.
Yeah,
and
100%.
we were like, let's not replicate.
And we still have some blue Broadways too, so it was like, well, we already have a blue grip on the market. We don't need to double down. And I mentioned this to you a second ago, Austin. Mm-hmm. The Pink Panther, when it came out, was around the time we were testing the Summit grips, or a little bit after. But the Pink Panther was still in, you know, a popular grip tape at the time for us, Hell Grip. And it's pink, you know. So we
Hell Rosa.
Well, but I'm just saying
Let's be technical, but go on.
Yeah, well, the Pink Panther's like bright pink. We then came out, and I don't know, Austin, you probably don't follow every grip tape we make. We had a grip tape that matched the Hell Rosa grips. So there was a Hella Classic. It's not anywhere. It's already been filed away because we're not making it. It's dead. But
never say never.
There was a time period. Well, you know, we're trying to move forward with colors, but that's besides the point. There was a time when we had the pink and the pink when they came out. I think when the Hell Rosa Summits came out, there was a Hell Rosa XL Hella Classic. It wasn't even a normal Hella Classic. It was an XL Hella Classic. Getting hella technical here. But going back to the whole grip thing, I'm pretty sure we lived together, right? We all were in, because Austin also lived in the Hella Grip, the infamous Hella Grip apartment, aka HQ as we used to call it.
I
the
found
Hella
the
Grip
apartment.
HQ. Austin found it. A wonderful location.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure we developed everything there, which is why we have all the drawings and stuff on the table of the packaging and stuff, which also want to point out, not only did Austin develop the grips, the original, actually not even the original, the packaging for both the Summit and the Broadway were both also done by Austin. And going even further back, the original website, the interpage was also developed by Austin, or Austin's collage drawing, with the sloth in the picture frame, the golden picture frame. I don't even remember this, Austin. It had the play video. The original video was inside of that when we first came out.
It was a decoupage.
And then when you entered the website, the original team page was also a Austin drawings. It was Austin's
Sticky notes.
sticky note drawings. He made
Yep.
one for each original Hella Grip homie.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that was the team page for a long time there, was also done by Austin. Austin is the 4th owner of the Hella Grip business.
1%.
Austin has the
1%.
1%. He is the 1%er here.
When the company sells for $100 million, I will get 1 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
And probably not.
Totally, man. You're going to get that money for sure when we all get that money.
Dude.
Real quick, I'll read the chat. There was a question about reacting to Zig Short's grip ad from Aztec Scooters, which is crazy. I'm sure that's Dom. No, Dom, we're not doing that today. We're just going to be talking about our own
Dude,
grips.
I would love to do a whole side thing talking about other companies' grips.
Yeah.
As long as you don't mention them by name. I have opinions galore about everything.
Maybe we'll do
related
that.
to
That could be a later episode.
Yeah.
Hopefully this won't be the last time we have Austin on, and maybe down the future we'll have Addy and Austin on all at once. The other question was Ruben hitting it with definitely he really likes. It sounds like he really likes the green ones. We appreciate it, Ruben. If we make another pair of them, bro, I'll make sure to send you one, bro.
Well, so to pull it all back, like, how did we get here? Is that the idea?
Yeah, I mean, what I was trying to get at is that we lived together. We were in the apartment. We knew from even when we started the company, or at least I think I knew. I'm sure we all did, right? That we wanted to not only make grip tape, but also make grips. The thing about grips is that it's a lot larger of an investment to jump into. And we started the company off with just a small amount of original investment money, and we kind of built off of that to the point where we had enough money to invest in making the Broadway.
Right.
And I think at that point we did all live at the HQ, at the apartment, right?
Yeah, the Broadway grip and the Summit grip, for the most part, were both completely conceived within the apartment in Oakland. I mean, all of it was conceived.
So you had both of them. Let me get this straight. 'Cause now I'm also interested. This is good for me to even know. Did you design both of them at around the same time, the Broadway and the Summit?
No, the Broadway was the first design, and how do I put this? When I was producing these grips, I used a software that's very common in just like architecture schools, but it's called Rhino, and it's a 2D/3D drafting and also like rendering software. And so what I did was produce a few iterations in Rhino and kind of study the look. I mean, the first idea is I had a base concept, and then the Broadway grip came out kind of in short order because I've been thinking about for a while, a grip, what I would like to see. And then, to get to the Summit grip was a result of a few different things. That's, requests from team riders. But to get to the Summit grip, I would say I studied a number of different, I'm going to use this word, permutations. Yeah, right? Different looking mushroom style grips that are on the market, basically the thin profile grips. And I mean, I'd have to dig pretty deep into my my images folder from that time, but before we even got to the idea of what the Summit grip would be based on or totally look like, I probably studied about 4 or 5 other iterations before I got there.
And going back to the Broadway real quick, just to cap that one off, because we're definitely going to focus on the Summit because that's our current one and everything. But with the Broadway, we came out with it in 2 colors originally. It was the black and the gum. And if I'm not mistaken, and this is just what riders had told me and stuff, the gum felt different than the Broadway. Is that, I mean, you rode both, right?
Yeah, yes. And I remember discussing this with our manufacturer. They let us know that, depending on the color style, there will indeed be slight feel differences. Although I will say, at the end of the day, a worn-in grip, once you get that top sheen off, the general feel is negligible. But they did let us know that based on the colors, based on the finish, initially there would be this feel, but as you start wearing the grip down, as you add your own grime to it, basically, it usually kind of all becomes the same, whether it was black or gum or like the crimson one. You know, like yeah.
And
I
the
rode
blue, and the blue, yeah.
I rode every iteration. I've rode every color iteration of the grips, and my bias would be that I felt a slight difference with gum, but I actually rode the crimson grips the longest, and after a while they felt just the same. I mean, they felt just as broken in. They felt just as good. I felt no difference when I would do bar spins or anything like that. From these to the gum.
And the crimson, still to date, is our only signature or colorway. It's more of a colorway. It's not a signature.
Yeah.
It's our only colorway attached to a rider with Pat Nguyen. One of my favorite riders too, and I like. He had a matching grip tape that went along with it. His video is available on the channel. Definitely worth checking out.
Who hops higher than him? That dude has got a hop.
He had the hops. Yeah, he still does. He's an EMT now, or
I think last I saw on the socials, he's an EMT, and
no, I think is a paramedic above EMT.
I'm not even you can pretend
or is EMT
to know.
above paramedic? It's one or the other, right? I don't know. Someone could sound it off in the chat. However that works.
I know he's a damn ripper.
Yeah, he's the level above.
Yeah.
Whatever which way that goes.
Yeah.
Shout out to Pat.
He would like flat 360 over the craziest stuff.
Oh, dude, he like hop over people sitting in chairs like right now. He'd hop over me. It's crazy.
High hops always win.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, kids, it's not about tricks.
And well deserved too. Like I think for us to have given out a colorway of a product like that and have it be that like this historical moment in Heligrip history, I'm glad it was Pat. Killer video to go along with the grip tape and grips. Great colorway. The wine. We called it the wine tone or whatever. But that came out a couple.
I think we called it the Crimson Nguyen.
Yeah. That came out a couple years after, like I think a year or two after the original grips had come out. We decided we want to do that.
Yeah.
Wait, Jerry's correcting me. Paramedics are trained more.
Jeremy is
okay. So it is paramedic. It is EMT then paramedic. Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate that little input there. So yeah, he's a paramedic now. Anyways, yeah. So like the one thing I noticed too, Aust. I do want you to show maybe the Broadway drawings there of the hand. Like I don't think there's any information.
I don't think we have the drawings. There's
So
like
this one right
what we got a bunch of stuff on here. This is God, I've dropped stuff.
It's interesting to see all the different versions that you came up with.
Well, this
before.
isn't drawings. This is the original label design.
Yeah. I mean, like how originally it had the color, the Heligrip in the color, and then we kind of naysayed that, and then changed it up. Like
yeah.
And that's only like one. You had a bunch of different sheets like that we picked through.
Oh yeah. The idea with the label, which was at the time when we were doing the website, you'd asked me to do some stuff for that. I was doing these decoupages, which is just a really fancy way of saying torn paper and glue laid on cardboard or like a more solid substrate. And I would do these collages and then scan them and then overlay, vector graphics that I produced in Rhino or Illustrator. And then, we did a bunch of, I did all these different label studies to see like, how we could, or how it could, or what we thought looked best, so, the urban background, the Oakland skyline with the Bay Bridge in the background and the jungle motif, where's the grip, the sign for the Broadway grip was actually based off of the Oakland street signs. So wherever we saw Webster, MacArthur, Harrison, Broadway, Summit, those signs were, based off of the street signs that were on the street poles. So. And
now that we don't live there, I feel like we can openly say that we lived on.
I mean, I still live there. But.
No, I meant, well, you don't live in the old HQ, but yeah. The old HQ was literally on Summit and Broadway. So the first grips we came out with the Broadway. The second grips we came out with the Summit. I feel like the third one, I would imagine, personally, being called Telegraph. I don't know.
I mean.
I don't know.
I guess like when we were living over there in Uptown, Oakland, I think that might be apt. It might be a little on the nose for that area, but we probably spent, we spent a lot of time clearly at the Summit apartment. I think Telegraph was next. I mean, we'd always go to the Burrito Express over there, a few other businesses over there that we frequented a lot.
Korean barbecue.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
We went there a lot. There's
Yeah.
infamously.
Well, yeah, it was. It
Handlebar
was.
meals
I
here.
think they call it Kono now. I mean, they try and rename the neighborhoods, but it's basically the Korean district.
Well, we were on Pill Hill.
We were on Pill Hill, right,
Yeah.
which is where the medical centers were, and then just
Mhm.
outside that is Kono, and then you have Adams Point. I mean, Oakland is street by street, different neighborhoods.
The Hag's still in that zone too.
What's
Shout
that?
out to the Hag. Hag's still in that
Oh
zone.
yeah. Hagamore is kind of down near this creek right now, kind of like bridge trolling.
Down under. Yeah, I was just about to say down underneath the little bridge is where Hag's living.
Yeah. He's definitely down there with his scooter with no grips and his bicycles.
Actually, his scooter's in the trunk of my car, but yeah.
I know it is.
Yeah.
And I don't live in that area anymore, but I'm still in Oakland, and I would expect 2B, Addison, and BK to move back there soon.
Yeah.
Soon.
Well, I don't know about Addy, but yeah. I'd love to get back out there at some point, you know. It was getting a little intense. Like we had, I know Austin had moved out at some point and moved in with some other homies of ours. We started getting a lot of crazy homeless situations and stuff, like at our building, people using the front yard as a restroom and stuff. It was getting a little wild.
It was, yeah. I mean, it still is an interesting scene in Oakland for sure, for better or worse. But when we first moved there, the neighborhoods kind of ebbed and flowed. They went from like, very chill to like not so chill. When we first moved there, and this kind of changed in short order, but like our specific area was between Broadway and Telegraph. That street was where people of the night would do work on the major streets, or they would do their work on our street basically. And so I remember we'd always have to walk around, and like we couldn't space out and like look in cars or just be spacing out because you might see something. So
there was one time, I think this is after you moved out, where someone literally left a car. We lived on a two-way street, no street parking. Or street parking on one side, but not the other. Yeah. Someone left a car just in the middle of the road on the side that had no parking. And then people had parked on the other side. So it turned the whole street into a one-way. And we called it in, like, hey, Oakland PD, like, hey, there's this car. It's just sitting there. And the windows were down. It was, like, full of cigarette butts and stuff. And we, like, stuck our head in. It was a disgusting car, and it sat there for about a day and a half before Oakland PD actually did anything about it. It was wild. This is a car just chilling in the middle of the road. Very, very interesting.
Well,
and black mold. A lot of black mold in our apartment, if you remember. And Addy was over the black mold. He was like, dude, we're taking years off our lives living in here, and the carpet was disgusting. And we didn't help it. Especially the Handlebar Grips squad, as a full-on team, like we always had people at the house, and it got real gnarly in there, and it was just time for us to. The rent kept going up, and it's like, dude, this place isn't worth what we're paying at this point. But yeah, enough about the Oakland apartment. I just brought it up because we did. That's where I feel like all the development kind of came up, and we had a lot of talks and conversations about the grips and all that. My next question to you, Austin, was let's go back to the Broadway before we move to the Summit real quick.
Mm-hmm.
What was your inspiration? Because to me, personally, I've never seen a grip that looks like the Broadway. I go into a lot of bike shops, different sports basements, stuff like that. I always look at the grips, always look to see what they're selling, and I never see anything like it. The only thing I ever see, and a lot of people will text message me this, at gas stations, Austin.
Yes,
some of
mats.
The floor mats, or like the circle drainage thingy, has that pattern. Was that an inspiration, or is that just like after the fact our minds now connected there?
It's totally after the fact. I see it now, and it always clicks with me. There's a few other places that I've seen that particular pattern. First and foremost, you guys came to me with like basically a spec, which is like, how long do you like, we want a grip of this length. And then you kind of gave me, carte blanche to come up with the design.
Addy, I do remember this. Mm-hmm. The Raptor grips, the Louis V Raptor grips had come out, and they were doing a big promotion about how they were like the longest grips on the scooter marketplace, this, that, the other. I think we have a pair somewhere, but it doesn't matter. And Addy wanted to make sure that we could do that length. He said, we got to have them this long, because long grips at that point in time were really in style. And I do also remember you, Austin, being like, okay, cool. But on our grips, and you can show the camera, Austin, it has a line where you could easily cut them. And I remember you talking to us about this, where you could cut them to make them shorter if the person, in fact, wanted them shorter. And a lot of the homies, I remember Jake used to cut them at least one line off. You had the possibility to cut 2 of the lines off to make them pretty much the same length as the Summit currently is, right? Is that about the same length?
Yeah, in a sense, actually, yeah, you could cut them down, and it could be pretty close to the length of the Summit now. And then, you know, not to jump too far ahead, but even the Summit grip has the ability to score it. It has scoring lines, so you can cut it. And if we're just talking about that particular feature, all my BMX grips for a long time came with flanges. All ODIs came with flanges. So, I didn't like to ride flanges. One particular reason is bar spins. If you do a bar spin and the flange gets you, it just throws you off, and you basically eat shit. And so I would always cut the flanges off my grips. And eventually, bike companies caught on to this, and they started having these cut lines. And sometimes people would even like to kind of groove a finger in those cut lines. So that particular design feature played out in both the Broadway and the Summit. But getting back to the Broadway grip itself, at the time, scooter grips were crazy long. I mean, I think 7 to 8 inches. And so I remember Addison came to me. He said, like, we need to have a grip of this length. I mean, this is the gum Broadway right now. It was even long for BMX standards. I mean, some outliers who are brakeless would stretch their grip, but it was fairly long. So after knowing about the minimum length, I came up with this design, and part of that was having a scoring line, so people who wanted their grips a little bit shorter could have that. Funny enough, in time, trends vary. I mean, year to year, week to week, day to day, and actually the grips nowadays are much shorter in length. But the design, the crosshatch design, basically, what is it? 5 hatch lines. Basically it's a 2-piece pattern, one vertical, one horizontal, perpendicular to each other, and then spread out over so many rows, arrayed in so many different ways. That actually came about one day when I was doing my job. I was at my architecture firm, and I'm a prolific doodler. Even when I'm supposed to be modeling houses or drafting, like I'd have over here, like off to the side, my sticky notes, and those sticky notes actually became the team page for a while. But I would also kind of draw bike parts and just dork around. One day I was drawing, and I mean, this just sounds like such a stoner thing, but I was looking at my hand, and I was thinking about, like, what do you want a really good grip to be? You want it to have a good amount of tactility and friction, so that when you grab it, when you're really grabbing it, when you're about to do a 360 or you're about to huck it, you have a good feel, you have a good response. It's not gonna leave your hand basically when you land hard or anything like that. And I was looking at my left hand while I was drawing my right, and I noticed that the patterns on your hand, I mean, they're vertical, they're horizontal, they're diagonal, but really it's your hand is scored in such a way that the creases in it provide a lot of friction. So when you grip stuff, it's not like the grain of your hand is all going in one direction. So you can so if the grain is all running vertical on my hand and I grab a grip this way, then it would slide this way. No, it's running in all these different types of directions. So I was thinking about friction. And that's kind of how I came up with the crosshatch design. I mean, in its most simplest and basic form was horizontal, vertical hatch with spacing. I didn't want them to be connected to one another because, as far as each individual pattern, like, you could have extruded the lines out, because what I often saw was like this runaway effect where on other grips, when somebody tore a grip on the other side just by gripping it, it would just peel off. So I wanted little individual pieces that would also kind of help with the tactility and forming and kind of contouring to the hand. So that pretty much, short story long story short, covers it for what I was thinking with the hatch for the Broadway grip. And that kind of idea played itself out in a different way with the Summit grip. I mean, stuff that I learned a tremendous amount from the Broadway grip. I mean, more than I could even get to in this discussion, that I took over to the Summit grip. What'd you do?
I was fooling around.
Did you break something?
No, I was doing stuff.
What?
I was actually adding the grips to the thing.
You're not. I can see you. You're playing space pinball.
Yeah, playing some pinball.
You'll never get above 5 million points.
At least
Go
it's
on.
not pocket pinball. Am I right?
Hey, you told me not to say those things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the other thing I think that we should point out before we get off the Broadways. I know we're talking a lot about the Broadways, but that's our baby, our original baby in the grips. That's our first one out.
Our original foray into grips. Yeah.
You got the drawings over here if you want to show a few
I mean,
of those.
this is
Also the T-shirt, which I think we still have a few for sale. We have it in white and in black. Austin also designed that.
Well, remember I think you did an ad in a magazine. I produced an ad for a magazine
For the Broadways, yeah.
Yeah, with the Broadway grip. I mean, this is just, architecture, patterns. I was just taking that pattern and studying it to the nth degree, from big to small, different size rows and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
This is just a silly little graphic that I produced. And then at one point,
we made both shirts. We made it in white, but it was white and blue.
It was
instead
white
of
and blue.
black.
It was white and blue, but
it's still
taking
for sale.
that.
I think we still have a few sizes if someone want to pick it up.
Taking that, dude. By the way, great shirts. I mean,
Best shirts. I love that long sleeve. My mom rocks it all the time. She says it's her favorite shirt that we've ever made.
It's got a good fit, and so what I did with this image right here is actually initial study. In fact, I could see it through here. The shirt here has 3 rows. I think we only ended up doing 2. So I was on this side I was kind of studying like what one row would look like, 2, 3, 4. But yeah, that pattern kind of played itself out on a number of different ads and T-shirts, and I think at some point we'll probably do a Summit T-shirt once I get off my butt and
I want to
do
do the Summit T-shirt really bad.
I
was saying the Summit hoodie would be cool with it coming down the sides of the hood.
It
Same
would
idea.
be. You just have to get it past our CFO McMasher.
Yeah.
He has so many opinions. And so that the design from that group we played out in a few different ways. It was cool. Learned a lot from that process. I mean, manufacturing was really interesting. That's a whole other side discussion.
And quite took quite some time. On our end as well, I was on the manufacturing end, and there was a lot of we had the whole, especially with the Broadway, not especially with the Broadway. We did it with both. We did it with the Broadway and with the Summit. The team tested it. We got team approval. The homies tested it, I should say. Especially here in the Bay, with the Broadway, I know Hag, Jake, Addy, all the guys here locally rode the Broadways for quite some time before we pulled the trigger on that one. And then same with the Summit. We sent the Summit out to a lot of the riders, had them all tested out, give their approval, give their input, and all that kind of stuff. The other thing, we can move on to the Summit and start discussing that.
Yeah.
The thing I noticed real quick about the Summit is that you have one of the original drawings right there, and the name of it is actually different. It is not called the Summit.
Oh, yeah. It's this one. It's this one right here.
Right there, too. So you had it
Yeah. It was originally called the Sierra grip. So that's probably the first time you're hearing that. But yeah, the Summit grip was originally called the Sierra.
And I'd forgotten that. I did not remember that was the original name was Sierra, not Summit.
Yeah. I mean, there's just a working name for a grip. I mean, we live in California, in Northern California. The Sierra is, an indomitable piece of this landscape. And it's, the design for the Summit grip did have some corollaries to valleys and peaks. I mean, we can get in that here in a second, but that was just a working title, even though I think we had already established from the very get-go that every grip that we do would have some name related to Oakland streets that we frequented to some degree. Whether that goes in the future, maybe it will, or maybe it's a different street. I mean, what about Wetterhorn as a grip, or somewhere else that some people grew up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Or just like calling it Northgate.
too
That'd be
close.
interesting.
Yeah.
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 Castle Rock Grips.
Yeah, that sounds like a hedge fund.
Yeah.
But
All right. Well, let's get into the development of the Summit Grips. What was the inspiration, stuff like that.
well, the Summit grip, I had produced a number of different grip designs, after this just for fun. But at some point, you guys let me know that the team had given you some feedback on the Broadway, and I believe we had enough capital at the time to pursue a second grip. So the team was kind of asking about this and what they were looking for, and I believe the general consensus was three things: that the next grip be shorter in length. So I believe the Broadway is about 7 inches long, and the Summit grip is 6.25 inches long. Secondly, they wanted the grip to feel thinner. The Broadway had as far as the overall thickness is concerned, once it's installed, it's a little on the larger side, and so the idea was that give it a thinner profile. And then I believe the third element was they had requested a mushroom style grip. Mushroom style grips are at least that style is ubiquitous within scootering and BMX these days. You originally see it pioneered in ODI, but then you see it, in a number of, I think, probably about 50% of brands have some iteration of the mushroom style grip nowadays. And so it was like, okay, let's look at that. And I took those comments and went to the drawing board with that. Took some concepts, generally speaking, from the Broadway, which was, basically the bar and design, the bar plug design that we had, but also the ability to, reduce the size of the grip by having, scoring lines, and also the text on the grip collar itself. When it comes to the design, and I had to write notes here just to have it totally dialed out. Summit grip is 6.25 inches long. The grip's outside diameter, uninstalled, is 1.187 inches in diameter, which is smaller in diameter than the Broadway grip. The body of the grip, which I would say is these 6 parts here, features a V-tread pattern arrayed in 48 instances. So if this is one set of pattern, it's this V-tread arrayed in 48 instances around the grip. There are 6 instances of this pattern, and then they're actually juxtaposed next to one another, so they're mirrored. That's kind of the idea to give it additional friction. So they could have the V-tread pattern could have all been going in the same direction, but I actually decided to have it go in north and then a south to provide that extra level of friction to just kind of help with the overall grip. At the ends on the collars, whereas the Broadway grip it's just a smooth collar. I actually included these little, what we call the Summit pattern. They're basically triangles arrayed in 18 instances around the collar. They can provide an additional level of grip if you run your grip way out to the edge. I know from riding BMX that when I would do turn downs, I actually like to move my hands to the outside. When I would do X-ups, I'd like to move it to the inside. But either way, what I appreciated was having some level of mushroom grip for, my 3 fingers here. And then for my index and thumb, I actually like to kind of having a smoother surface. So that was always nice. So having the triangle pattern here, gave me a little bit of additional grip, but it wasn't as much as over on the main part, the V-tread pattern. So, all in all, I mean, it is, that's my phone. I just dropped it. It is completely different than the Broadway. but it does carry over, some design features. Um, one thing that I studied a lot was the depth of the pattern in relation to the grip core itself. So at some point, the pattern meets a solid, if you cut a cross section, the pattern meets a solid surface of grip. And why that's important is because if your pattern is too deep, you can start to shear it off, but it also cannot have the added effect of wicking sweat. One of the benefits of the mushroom style is that when you grip it, the way in which the pattern is arrayed, it can actually kind of wick moisture away from your hands. So that was really important. If it was too deep, you just basically bunch it and crush it, and it would feel kind of weird in your hands. So I studied that pretty closely. Um, so yeah, I mean that's all in all an overview of the grip. This particular grip, the way in which it was produced is um, started as a sketch in one of my binders. Went to a kind of a series of technical drawings to study the layout. This 11 by 17 here, you can actually kind of see the original base pattern. And then the idea is that was, the V-tread pattern arrayed in 48 instances. We looked at it in cross section and then, studied it in renderings. Went over this with the team, with, the guys, Tubi and Addison, in so many different ways, what was preferred.
Did we make a 3D mold? I think it's sitting there.
Well, I'll get to that. We
Okay.
have additional renderings, kind of studying the look, thinking about colors, general aesthetics, and then this black grip here. This is actually not rubber. This is a plastic grip. That probably just blew your microphone up.
Oh, that's cool.
This through some connections I have in architecture, I know a number of people who are do-it-yourself 3D printers. So I actually, gave them the base design file, and they were able to produce a full scale, like almost 1-for-1, 3D mock-up of the grip, which is actually great. I mean, talk about, the benefits of modern technology. You can design a project, you can see it on the screen, you can see it in 2D and drawings, but nothing compares to being able to see it in 3D, to hold it, to look at it. I mean, this is hard plastic. It lacks the feel of rubber, so you can't really get that. But I mean, to be able to see it, to be able to internalize it, look at its proportions, I mean, helped tremendously. I mean, it even has the text on the collar. So, we went from sketches, 2D drawings, 3D renderings, 3D prints, reaching out to our manufacturing source, and then working with their manufacturer. And then we had a few back and forths with them. In fact, I don't know if you remember this. I actually had to redesign the grip because of an error. How do I put this? An error in my design that didn't affect the design, but it would have made it impossible for the mold to be, one, produced, and two, the mold needs to expel the grip, once the rubber has been placed in it. Impossible for it actually to come out of the mold. So I actually had to go back and redo it. And this is going to be super inside baseball, but I called it the sun dilemma. And it basically has to do with, what a cross section of a grip should look like, when you cut it in so many different places. But you want your pattern, this is so inside baseball, but you want your pattern to come out perpendicular as best you can from a circular surface. If it is angled on that surface, like I said, one, it's really impossible to make, as far as a 3D print needs to be done, but also it won't come out of the mold. So way inside baseball. But yeah, I had to keep the design, go back to the drawing board, and actually figure out a kind of a complicated pattern situation. And in the end, after much back and forth with that, after a lot of translation websites to figure out what the comments I was getting were, solved it, and here we are. We got the Broadway grip, clear, Hell Rosa, and pink.
Yeah. And another thing too, and I remember this was a big thing for Addy especially. And just I feel like one of the complaints about the Broadway was possibly the packaging. A lot of people.
Anyway.
The Broadway, it was unable. People weren't able to touch it.
Yes.
Right. And that was a big thing that we kept hearing is people wanted to walk up and be able to feel them and whatever. So we changed up the whole packaging. Austin developed this whole box, and it has the cutout in the front so people can walk up, they can feel it without actually, purchasing it or whatever. And I think that came out awesome. Came out very cool. It even has the bar ends on the ends.
The logo, the collar, and the bar end logo.
Also, the coolest bar end, we didn't even discuss, but I mean, it's the same bar end as the Broadway and the Summit is the exact same bar end, correct?
Yeah, it's the exact same.
But I think it's one of the coolest bar ends. I mean, let's be honest. We have one of the coolest logos in scootering, the Sloth. And the bar end itself is, I don't know. I think it's one of the coolest bar ends, period.
Yeah, I mean,
hard to get in, but once you get it in there, man, you look fly.
Well, talk about learning experiences. The bar, let's call it. There are dilemmas behind the scene. The bar end dilemma. I actually have this with BMX grips I've ridden even recently on other BMX bikes or other bikes in general. Some bar ends I get won't fit in my BMX bars. And we were seeing that with scootering, and it's a no-brainer why that's the issue to me now, but the issue really has to do with bar materiality. And that means like there's aluminum bars, there's steel bars, and what differentiates, there's carbon bars.
Titanium.
There's titanium. And
that's big in scootering.
Something that's really important to understand there is the gauge of the bars. And that's basically, what is the thickness of the bar wall? And, it's kind of for plug grips, it can be kind of a crapshoot, because a thicker style, a bar with a thicker gauge, can be difficult to fit bar ends. So after that, what I did is I installed these bar ends on a number of different bars, and about 3/4 of them it worked, but there were certain instances, aluminum bars have a thicker gauge, where that became a problem, and it definitely gave me an appreciation for, if you go back in mid-school BMX, you definitely see this in other areas, but they had metal bar ends, and those bar ends, they kind of had this like slip sleeve system, but you could put it in, and then remember you'd screw it down.
There's still a few brands, even in scootering currently, that make that style, and some people like that better because it sinks it in and it doesn't stick out, so your bar actually ends where your bar ends, correct? See, and also to clarify, Austin, I think all bar ends suck to put in.
Yes.
But that's because I'm a skateboarder and I don't have to deal with it that much, except for on my bike.
There's techniques. There's a way to get around it.
Putting grips on in general suck. I didn't know that was a thing. I guess I knew it was a thing. I'd seen them before, but I think it wasn't until that 420 custom build that the Volt did that we were discussing earlier with the green Summits. They talk about it. Wheeland, Tyler.
Yeah.
He talks about it, and they actually don't use our bar ends because he likes the fact that the bar end ends where the bar is, so you don't snap the bar end off.
Oh, well, that's okay. Oh man, this is semantics.
Stuff. Yeah.
That's like a flush bar end.
Yeah.
There are other ones where like they have like, what I'm talking about would be like a metal end.
Like you see on a lot of mountain bikes. You see it on a lot of mountain bikes.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much to do this, and one of the bar plug is a wonderfully simple design. What's nice is it allows with our product to give you a grip and a bar end, whereas it actually used to be they're two separate products. It used to be you get a grip and you get these these metal bar ends. But yeah, that was an interesting thing to come up against, that particular dilemma with the bar diameters. I could see now where we can make some adjustments.
I would also like to make those. I think that would be cool to have those. Because that's a separate product to make those flush bar ends. Because you sell that just alone on its own.
Well, you're still gonna run into the the gauge dilemma.
Yeah,
too,
yeah, totally,
which is
totally.
Which is, if it's what's the gauge of aluminum versus titanium versus steel, depending on the type of tubing used. Really light bars will have a thinner gauge, but they'll bend easier. I mean, right? Like it's nice, they're light, but you drop them and they bend. Versus more robust bars will have a thicker gauge. They'll be heavier. Some of them might have a better movement. It's better like their overall movement. But yeah, you'll run into issues with bar ends. So
real quick, the chat sounding off a little bit.
Yeah.
Josh Young, you know Josh.
Who?
Josh Young.
I do. What's up, buddy?
He says I forgot.
Michigan's finest.
Right. He actually purchased that custom build, and it sounds like he has those green bar ends because they didn't install the green bar ends on that custom build.
Right.
Josh actually bought that custom build off the vault, and he wrote in the chat that he has the green bar ends.
Oh, nice.
And
so he's got the green HGs.
The green HGs, yeah. They stayed in the family. Josh has that scooter.
Awesome. Those green grips are really in the family. I don't know anybody who's got them.
Yeah, now that Josh has the other pair too. Yeah. Addy wrote bar end semantics from your brother.
Yeah, I know. You got to stop me from getting too inside of baseball. I'll go down rabbit holes.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I mean, I feel like you've really kind of explained a lot about the summits and some about the Broadways. I mean, shucks, I can't remember. You were naming off the years. Like, when did we come out with the Broadways?
The Broadways, I think, were based on some of the stuff I'm seeing here is like 2017, maybe.
The Broadways were.
Yeah, the Broadway was like 2017, and then I think the summit, some of the dates on these drawings I'm seeing probably 2019, 2020. I mean, there were times where, how to put this, when we were actively moving on the project, it moved ahead very quickly. For other reasons, there were times when it was down. Nothing bad. It's just there were other priorities, so we just weren't pushing the pace on the bar grips.
Well, money's always a factor.
Money is always a factor.
Yeah,
money
unfortunately.
Everything.
Unfortunately.
Oh my God. This mansion you bought here.
Oh. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, and if everyone could go buy some summits so we can keep the lights on
I
here,
can't wait to go to the steam room and the pool after
Yeah,
this. This is gonna be great. I'm gonna feed the ponies.
Yeah,
Oof.
Get a beer at the little bar we
Oh
got
my
going
God,
in
we
the
got our
back.
own bartender.
Yeah.
Oh,
That steam room too, man. Like,
dude,
woo-wee.
these kids know nothing.
Yeah, dude.
About
We got
the
a
life
full-size
of luxury.
pool, one full of water, one empty.
Mhm.
You know, we got it all over here at Handlebar
Addison
Warehouse.
would be here right now, but he's clear across the compound.
Yeah.
He just can't make it here in time.
He's in the Seattle sector. So.
Well, that just ruined it.
Well, that's how big this warehouse is.
Yeah.
It crosses state lines.
We have
and
an
stuff,
airport
bro.
right next to us.
Yeah, there's an airport.
Fly to
go-
Seattle.
Yeah, you just come in and out. It's a whole thing. Is there anything we missed, Oz? Like, is there anything that, like... I don't know.
No, not really. I mean, there's a lot of... I have a lot of other grip concepts in mind.
Like future Handlebar grips down the line?
Yeah, I mean, we still haven't made the McMasher signature, foam grip. There's been...
We haven't even made a McMasher signature grip tape.
I mean...
If you think about that real quick.
Right?
Addy, owner of the brand, never had any SIG products.
It'll be like a dachshund on a grip tape.
Well, he had a SIG grip tape, but unfortunately it was not with Hella Grip. I like how he's in the chat, so he's hearing all this too. We're just throwing him right underneath that bus.
Right underneath the bus.
Yeah, the Addy signature foamies would be the move. Now, other brands have started to do foamies. What's your vibe on foamies? Like, what's the feeling on that as a designer and rider?
It's a preference thing. I mean, in BMX culture, they're never really that popular. I do know a few guys who did ride foams, but eventually they all ended up with rubber. I have no disdain about it. I mean, Addison, or I have no negative opinion about it. Addison rode foamies forever. Forever.
He had no choice.
But he wanted. No, he had choices. He wanted to ride foam grips, and he did.
In the Razor days, it came out the box, foamies on.
Yeah, no, but then he got custom. Then not custom, but he got foamy. Like he got those long. He got really long foamies.
That's right.
And,
yeah,
and he was the only guy running foamies.
If I'm not mistaken, he was buying like a really long foamy. Oh, Addy's breaking down the years.
Yeah.
Okay, so real quick, we'll go back to the foamies in a second. Broadway was October 2016.
Okay.
Summit's November 2021.
Oh my
I'm sure he's like, these
gosh.
idiots right now. He's just thinking to himself, these idiots talking about all this don't even have the dates. But yeah, it was 16 October and then 21 November. So I think that world stoppage had a little bit of a delay on the Broadways coming out sooner.
No, actually
Or my bad, the Broadways, the summits coming out sooner.
If you remember, there are a lot of things that inhibited the grips from getting to the market quicker, and they were outside of our control.
Yeah.
For one, the Summit grip was impacted by COVID.
World stopping.
I mean, that was that probably slowed down the release of the grip for a minute, because the company that actually produced the grip, they had to shut down in all their sectors, and it was really difficult. I mean, that probably pushed the release of the grip out a year and a half.
Yeah.
In regard to regards, as Addison would like to say, in regard to the Broadway grip, I remember the release was delayed 3 months because the shipping container that was bringing it over, the company actually went out of business as the boat was in the middle of the Pacific.
Yep.
And
delays.
Well, what ended up happening is they basically had to stall that boat in the ocean where it sat until another massive shipping conglomerate bought out the company that went under and was able to bring, our product into the port of Oakland. I mean, that delayed us months. Like all of these little delays, for a small brand like Hella Grip, I mean, it really speaks to the difficulty of, producing high quality physical products in a timely manner.
Yeah.
I mean, shit happens.
Yeah, man.
There was never anything really behind the scenes. Nothing behind our scenes slowed it down. It was always something else, not to put it on anybody else.
No. I mean, we move slow here at Hella Grip, but we're typically pretty on top of our emails and everything.
I'm going to disagree with that statement. We don't move that slow.
There's Tubi's lagging on some stuff. I'll say that.
There's
quite a few raw videos that should have already come out.
Yeah.
I apologize. There's quite a few things that, it's usually dumb stuff. It's never like like I'm not sitting on like full length video parts that just haven't been released. It's never anything like that. But I also like to sit on some stuff. It's weird nowadays, to be honest, Hoss, because I'll sit on some footage and then I'll post it on Insta, and then kids will comment in there like, "Oh, that's old. He's riding this deck." And it's crazy to me because they're really like, with scooters more than skateboards, they can tell when the clip was filmed.
Oh, I'm that guy. I know I was so obsessed with BMX. I still am. I know colorways on frames. Like if it's a mass-produced frame, I know it's been released.
Yeah.
I know shoes.
I know, yeah.
When it comes to video parts, I could tell what part of the world it was in based on the color of the footage.
But as a TM, real quick.
Yeah.
I don't want to blow my load immediately.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's right. You can't just drop all. Like sometimes I'm holding back the footage for certain reasons. There's more to it, and we grew up in a time period where footage, like in BMX and in skateboarding, it came out only every you know what I mean? Like there was such downtime. Like you would see the photo in a magazine, right? And then we wouldn't see that footage till the new Road Fools would come out. For instance, right? Until you bought it. Usually Austin would be buying all the BMX videos.
Yeah, obsessively.
So then like Austin would buy the new BMX video. We'd all go to the twins' house, and then we'd watch whatever BMX video Austin had purchased, And, we'd seen those photos like in a Dan comp or something. It would be an ad. And then you didn't see that footage for another, 6 months maybe?
Yeah, but clearly the times are different. I mean, we can't lament that. I mean,
but it's stupid. If it's a good clip, we can argue this first. I know you're not probably gonna agree with me, but
the come up is dead. The come up is dead.
I think No Jumper's about to be dead too.
Yeah, is.
That's a different story for a different time.
Stop porn, Adam 22. Come back to BMX.
That's a different story for a
Save
different time.
BMX, Adam 22.
Yeah, he's got enough money to like kind of throw it in extreme sports if he really wanted to. But that's whatever. But
yeah,
I mean, if the footage is good, if the clip is good and it's timeless, then who gives a shit? Like I don't know. The best footage shouldn't even be dated. Some of my favorite skate parts, and I'm sure you can feel the same way about your favorite BMX parts, are old, and it doesn't matter that they're 10 years old. I mean, nowadays, like 20 years old, right? Like some of the BMX videos we used to watch. You know, Little Devil, that's one of my favorite videos from that you showed me back in the day. And John, Zephyrglow, shout out to Zephyrglow. I hope he's doing well.
Yeah, but that was when content was a trickle, not a fire
Yeah,
hose.
I agree.
Now it's wild.
You got to be like on it. And if I don't post the clip within like a month, someone's commenting on the Hella Grip Instagram like that's old or whatever it may be. I mean, to be honest though, I don't care as long as you comment.
Well, and
like just comment whatever.
You know, just like footage, the product market suffers from that same issue. Although I believe it's changed in the last few years.
Slowing down a little bit.
I mean the idea that Hella Grip is like supposed to be putting out seasonal products for such a small company as you guys are, it's pretty wild. It's really impressive that some companies can do that.
We used to do it more, like when we did Harvest Gravy and Citrus Summer, and we were really big on doing the holiday themed grip tapes and stuff. But it also seemed, I don't know.
Well, it's a lot of capital. It's a tremendous amount of warehouse space. I mean, I can only imagine the backstock that Tip Plus has, like BMX brands, right? I mean, mountain bike brands. We were kind of talking this just a second ago or earlier today, but like, man, it's interesting stuff. Yeah. Not to go too far down a different rabbit hole.
Yeah. No, definitely. All right, bro. Well, I feel like we've done over an hour, which is usually where me and Addy tap out and stuff. And I feel like we need to have you come back.
Yeah.
And talk more. Maybe some people could leave comments in the comment area. Anything you want to ask Austin, hit it in that comment, and we'll have Austin come back for part 2 of the grip saga.
I have way too many opinions.
Yeah, and maybe we'll do one, Austin. And we don't care. It's called Talking Shit with McMasher.
We can get to the bottom of the me and Anton beef.
That's a good one too.
Oh,
yeah.
It's so deep.
Yeah, Anton would love that. He's gonna watch this later and be like, "God damn it, Austin mentioned me." But dude, what would be cool is to have you come on, or maybe have you hop on the Hella Grip Discord or whatever, and we'll do a call and do the tier list of all the grips.
Yeah.
Ourselves included. Like put all the grips in different tiers, S tier to F tier, and break it down. I'll work on that, and maybe we can get
Summit
that going.
Grip goes right into tier 1. It's the best grip on the market.
S tier is usually how you do it.
Wait, F is the lowest?
S.
It's the S grip.
Yeah, S, A, B, C, D, F.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I watch a lot of streaming.
Well, thanks for having me. I mean,
yeah.
I've known you since kindergarten, so
yeah. I've unfortunately known
Addison. He'll come around for Thanksgiving or something.
Yeah. No, Addy's to be out here for.
Don't tell anybody.
Well, I don't think it's actually been officially announced, but there's a.
Don't tell anybody.
A comp coming up in May, I think.
Are you supposed to be telling me?
He said tier 1. No, I don't give a crap.
Okay.
You know, Anton will get angry at me too. Oops.
Typical Anton.
But yeah, there should be something going on in May. Addy should be out here, so we'll do another. Maybe we do one with both y'all, and have Addy and you. That'll be really difficult with this space, but we'll figure it out. Aztec, juice to have the Aztec fam up in the chat. That's awesome. Addy, very weird to do an episode without you, but you know this is fun. I should have said this at the beginning. I'm horrible, but if y'all could like, subscribe. You can do the notifications if you want, but at least like and subscribe. We'd super appreciate it. And leave suggestions of what you want us to talk about or any questions for Austin. We'll bring them back, have a part 2, all that kind of good stuff. I think me and Addy are going to do another episode later this week. Addy's probably just hearing this just now, but yeah, we're going to do another episode later this week, probably on Thursday, our normal day. We missed last week. We'll do this week.
I'm Terrible McNaughton on Instagram.
Oh, yes. Follow Austin. He takes awesome photos. Terrible McNaughton. We've also tagged you, I'm pretty sure, a bunch of times over. You could find
someday
him.
We'll start our Polaroid Instagram up again.
Yeah, Sleeping Dogs.
Sleeping Dogs
also on Instagram. That's me and Austin's little Polaroid photography thing. Hit the follows on those. Yeah, nothing else, Austin? We're good?
Like, subscribe.
Sure. Addy, you